Men, I don't understand them. So I was on Tinder and I was talking to this guy. Things, because I started things off a different way. It was like, he was like, hi. And then I was just like, men are horrible. They've done horrible things to me. And he still gave me a chance. And we were talking. And then he was telling me about himself and like how he fell on hard times. And he's like renting a room and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, and he was like, he's injured. And it wasn't like he was telling me a sob story to feel bad for him. And it was like, okay, all this stuff sounds bad. It's like a nice thing to do because he's like, he's about to have surgery and all this other stuff. And he's like, he's not getting disability or anything from a job. And it was like a freak accident. And I was just telling him like of side jobs that he could do, like when he gets better, if like this happens again. And then even after he recovers, like stuff he could possibly do where he won't necessarily need to have a work physical or anything, and he can do it. And basically all he has to do is just sit there and he can make money. And if he gets injured again or has more extensive stuff, he'll have health insurance. But then again, he has government health insurance, so everything's free. But the living situation and everything, where he could get side money if he gets a job and extra money or whatever. And then all that money would pay into if he got injured again and went on disability, where he would still get a check. So I was telling him this, and then he's like, I'm judging him and all this stuff. I was just telling him information that that people have told me, that I'm like thankful people have told me about the stuff. And it helps me. And I was injured in a situation like that because I talked about it on my channel. And then my video got marked, and then I got a strike on my channel and my video was removed. So very few people heard about what happened and the whole situation with the shot and how it left me like disabled and injured. But now I'm doing much better. So I was giving him advice because I didn't know how to apply for disability and stuff when I got sick and everything. So what happened for me, because he was like, he didn't know how to apply. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to apply? You don't do anything. The doctor does it for you. Because I was like, when I did it, because I was worried, I'm like, how am I going to pay for this? It's like I have savings. I don't have enough savings to pay for like all this time off. And then if I have complications. And then I saw the doctor and talked to the doctor when I decided to settle down and do something because I was sick and I was like putting it off. And it was like, I just have to do something because I'm just too sick and I can't go on. And if I didn't do something, it was going to lead to homelessness sooner or later. So I decided to talk to the doctor because the doctor wanted to help me. It was just, I was refusing help for like 9 months. So I saw the doctor and then they're like, we can book you as soon as you want to. And I was booked. They did my paperwork and everything. And I was on disability and I got paid the whole time. And I got paid really well because I found out basically when you go on disability, whatever you made during that time period last year, you're going to make during that time period, during the time that you're sick. And luckily I was sick during a really good financial time period for the prior year. So I did really well during my disability. And I was just giving him suggestions because I had side jobs. I was doing all this stuff before I was on disability. And it's like, you never know when you might need to go on disability. Because I always tell people a side job is where to go. Get a full-time job, get a side job, and not like a side job where you have set hours. Get a side job where, oh, I wake up, I have free time. Okay, I'm going to show up. Go work for a school district. So I say go into education and go into like, I wouldn't necessarily, I guess you could call it healthcare because some might call it healthcare. Some people call it support, different things. Because I'd say get into education. You can be a substitute teacher with kids, because kids don't generally start preschool early education until 6 weeks. And you get those units, and then you go, and you don't even always have to have units, because you can start, some places will hire you with no units. And then you can get units, and then sometimes you can work as a sub and making $30 an hour or more, working as a sub, showing up when you feel like it. It's like, why wouldn't you do that? If you have free time, you have nothing to do, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to do this, and you want some extra money, go work as a substitute teacher. Because there are agencies, school districts, all kinds of stuff. Some school districts say you have to show up for a certain amount of days. And then there's also working with the disabled in support programs and stuff. And then you learn a lot along the way, because working in schools and education and programs with the disabled, you'll find out a lot of stuff along the way and different things and jobs you can get into. So I went to education, started off in ECE, and then I moved through K through 12, then I moved through private schools, and I worked with people with disabilities, all different types of situations. And then I moved on to the elderly. So with the early childhood, K through 12, private schools, I show up when I feel like it. All that's I show up when I feel like it. With the disabled, you can sign up for a job after work. If you have a full-time job, you can sign up for a night job. And some of those night jobs, like if you're homeless and you're falling on hard times, or if you're just looking for extra money, if you're homeless, it'll give you a place to sleep anywhere from 3 to 5 days a night. And sometimes they'll feed you too. So if you're falling on hard times, homelessness or whatever, and then sometimes, depending on how you want to work, if you want to go for a management position, some places will let you live there full time. And they pay you and give you health insurance. And they'll give you a car to use when you're working. And then if you go for the seniors, like say if you have free time, you sign up for caregiver agencies, they might want you to work maybe a 4-hour shift. You go out to lunch with somebody, you go keep somebody company. You might go sit there. But I would say be careful with those, because you could end up in personal care. You might not want to end up in personal care. But with baby boomers getting older, so many different things. So I'm telling this guy about all this stuff where most of these jobs, like with the disabled, you can get a night job. You can go do fun activities with them, go to the movies. You can get a night job, sleep there. Same thing with the seniors. You can get a night job, sleep there, have a place to stay, live in a nice ass house or a basic bad apartment, depending on the income level and what the family's doing and if what's going on in the situation. But you'll have a place to stay. You can't bring all your stuff there all the time, but you'll have a place to stay, because some places are like you can move in there and bring in your stuff. Others are like you're there for the night, but you have a place to sleep. And then you could get a day job too if you have it, or save up to get a car or whatever you want to do, or get your own place. But I was just giving him all this information that people have given me over the years. And it was like, it wasn't that I was homeless or anything. It was just like people are saying different things. And it's like, oh, I never thought about this. You can do this while you go to school. You can do this. Like all these jobs that people told me about when I was in school, and things you could do to make extra money so it wouldn't really affect my schooling. And I stuck with these jobs because I can make a lot of money, have a lot of free time. And these are jobs that you can do in your like free time. Like say you're going to be at home and you're going to go to sleep. You're going to be at home and watch TV and YouTube or whatever. You can do that on your job. Why can't you sleep at your job, watch TV and stuff and do everything? And then sometimes you even get your own room. So it's like, why not show up to work? And then they'll offer you overtime if you want it to sometimes. You can move up in the company too. I never chose to move up in a company, because I don't want the responsibility. But they're basic jobs, and they can range anywhere, because some jobs you might do a 15-hour shift, but that 15-hour shift you're sleeping or watching TV or whatever. You're not really doing anything. You're just sitting there. Unless there's an emergency, you might be doing something. So I'm giving this guy all this information about all these good things, side jobs, side hustles. So if you don't want to work a full-time job, you just want to do something when you feel like it, because he's disabled. And I'm like, oh, you can do some of the stuff you can do now, but some he can't because he's injured. And you have to be able to pass a work physical. Because even if he was injured and he did all this before he got injured, and only time he'd have to actually take off time from work was when he'd had his surgery, because no one's ever going to see you. That's the thing about these jobs. You might call, you might text. You're never going to see your boss. You'll see other people, but you'll never see your boss. So it was like, I was just giving him some advice. And he took that as offensive. And it's like, if I'm telling you a way to make well over $100,000 if you want to, and you just show up when you feel like it, except when you work with the disabled and the elderly, you generally have a set schedule, but you can make a lot of money. Because it always sounds like you're making a lower wage than you actually are. But then at some places they're adding on overtime, because they might say they're going to pay you like $20 an hour, but you're doing a 15-hour shift and you're automatically getting overtime. If you're doing a 15-hour shift and you're doing 7 hours of overtime every shift, and they're saying they're paying you $20, it's like, okay, you're getting $20, but you're also getting double time, overtime, because sometimes double time, overtime, it adds up. So you're making closer to like 30 something an hour or more. And people don't understand that. They're like, oh, it's $20 an hour. That's a low wage, but you're sleeping. It's like, who wouldn't just show up and go to sleep and watch YouTube for $20 an hour? It's like, I would, but I make more than that, closer to 30 something an hour or whatever, or even more than that with the overtime. And you're only showing up 3 days a week or 2 days or 5 days a week, however many days you want to show up. And then you're getting free benefits. You're getting full free benefits. You're getting your phone paid for and all this other stuff. And then you're getting your transportation paid for. And all you have to do is show up. So it's like, why wouldn't you show up? And it's like, if I had a friend that knew all this information, and it's like, I didn't have to do shit. And you never know when you fall on a hard time, because you never know if you could end up homeless, and you'd have a place to stay for at least 3 to 4 days a week, possibly more if they have overtime. And then it'll help you keep your stuff, because then you can put your stuff in storage and everything, and you'll have a place to go. And then if you really wanted to, depending on the place, you could even shower there if you wanted to and not have to pay for like a gym membership to shower. So I'm giving this guy all this information just as like information, because it's like, he's telling me this and it's like, I'm feeling bad for him and I want to help him. So I'm telling him like stuff he can do that doesn't really take much effort. So once he gets better, he can like do some stuff, or he could even take the ECE classes. And I was saying, you take the ECE classes and you become an early childhood teacher, you can get paid up to like $45 or more at some places. And depending on your other education, you could be a director or something. And that's if you go for a full-time teacher. So I'm just giving him like options, basically telling the man how to make over $100,000 a year. And he's upset because there was another guy. He was like, what? We were talking and he's like, what do you do for a living? And I was telling him like all the stuff that I do. And he was talking about he was going to take the CBEST and everything and pay for this stuff because he wanted to be a substitute teacher. So I was telling him how to be a substitute teacher because he already had a degree, and all these other options, instead of paying for the option that he was going to go with that was probably going to cost him at least $20,000 or more, and where he could end up making money quicker within the next few days or within the next 6 months, depending on how he wanted to do it. And I recommended jobs and places and a path that would be cheaper where he could still make a lot of money. And he was like, thank you. But the other guy got upset, and it's like, I don't understand. It's like, I like you. Or even if I don't like you, but I see you're having a problem or you're on a hard time. And it's like, if I give you advice and then you listen to my advice, you fall on hard times again, and you just show up for these jobs every now and then, like the year before you get hurt, then all that money's coming back to you in disability, And these are all side jobs that are on the books where you can get disability and insurance and all this other stuff. And it's like, why wouldn't you take that advice? Because people gave me that advice and I took the advice, and it's like, I'm thankful because now I have so many job options. And people come, like people I know, they're like, I know you have a job. You always have a job. You know something. Can you help me? And I'm like, yeah. And I'll help people write their resumes and stuff. And it's like weird. I'll help a guy write his resume because some guys are like, really like, oh, I don't want you to see my resume or this. I have a really good resume. And it's like, I help people get jobs. I refer people to jobs. I know people. I've been in the industry for a while. So I know people. I can tell you where to go. Because like, I know a few places where I'll just call them up and I'm like, I know somebody who is interested in getting into the industry. And it's like, do they have any units? I'm like, no, but they'll hire you and they might pay you like $20 an hour. And it's a starter job to get you experience and everything. And then from there, you can go to schools and different places. And then sometimes the schools will hire you directly, or you can find other stuff. And I just did this to be nice. And he took it as me being judgmental. And it's like, I wasn't being judgmental. I was just saying, this is a side hustle you can do that'll get you insurance paid and all this other stuff. And you don't really need to make a big commitment. Because I know for me, like, people look down on it because, like, one of my jobs, I'm like, I do this is my night job, and I go 3 days a week, and I get paid well, and they give me free health insurance and all this other stuff. And I just show up 3 days a week and go to sleep. And people are like, oh, that's not good. I feel bad for you. But it's like, you lose your job, and this is your main job, and you have nothing. But I have multiple jobs where they give me time to do other jobs, and each of my side jobs can pay me over $100,000 if I wanted them to. And if I ever became homeless, they pay a portion of my bills, like my cell phone bill, so I'll never lose my cell phone because I get paid for my cell phone. And then I get a place to sleep at night if I ever ended up on hard times. And then it also pays for my transportation to get to the job. And then if I didn't have anywhere to go and I just wanted something to do during the day, or before I had to go to work after like everything closed, I could go hang out in the office because there's no one there. So I could just go hang out there. And I have all these options, and and then it's like, if somebody else in like these other fields, if they lost their job, and even with their job doesn't give them complete free health insurance. It doesn't pay their cell phone bill and all this. They might give them a phone to use while they're on the job. But my cell phone is my personal cell phone with my personal information and everything. And I get money to pay for it, not some company phone. I get my own phone. They just contact me sometime, but not very often, because it's more like, we're busy. You can do what you want. So I give people all this advice on side jobs, where the side job, it can be your full-time job, it can be your side job, and it could possibly lead to over $100,000 a year. But people get offended, and it's like, some jobs, all you have to do is just show up and go to sleep. And I don't get it, but I've told many guys about it where they're on hard times. Like, there's this guy that likes me that calls me all the time. And I decided to call him yesterday because I was sad, and I was like, okay, maybe I should give this guy another chance. Like, they call spinning the block, and it's like, yeah, no, I can't be with this guy ever. Yeah, but I don't get why offering a guy help and stability, why are they always saying it's judgmental and all this stuff? And it's like, I have no problem building a guy. I can build a guy in 6 months to make over $100,000 a year. It's not hard. It's like, get a full-time job, get a side job. And sometimes you don't even need the side job, depending on what the full-time job is that I get you and what you want to do. But then it depends on how far do I have to build you. It's like, do you at least have a BA or something? Because if you don't even have a BA, I can still build you in 6 months to make over $100,000. But then some people get like really picky about the school and stuff. And they're like, oh, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do this. Because as long as you're vaccinated, you have all your vaccinations. And you don't even necessarily have to have all your vaccinations depending on what route you want to go. But if you have all your vaccinations and shots and stuff, I can build you up to $100,000 even faster. And actually, I could bill you over $100,000. Basically, I can help a man make that much money. All he has to do is just show up. If you can show up and be on time, I can help you make like $100,000. And it's like, I don't get why guys get mad. If it's like, I'm looking for a husband, I'm willing to build you if you're nice and you're willing to show up. And it's not even hard work. You just have to show up. But guys get upset over that. And I'm single. And guys, because it's weird, because guys always try and tell me about how I can make money. And it's like, I make more money than you. And you work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And my full-time job doesn't take up that much time. And then I pick up side jobs. And then when I get the side jobs, some side jobs will give you benefits like life insurance and different things. And they'll pay for stuff too. It all depends. And I don't get it because there was another guy I was talking to. And he thought he understood what I did. Because he's like, oh, I used to be a substitute teacher and all this. And I started with him on the sad stuff too. And then it was like he liked me. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I get you don't like me. I understand. And then he basically blocked me. I was a guy on Bumble. But on Tinder, I got a better response. The guy, except the one guy who was like, I'm being judgmental. But the guy on Bumble, he was like, oh, I understand. But I'm like, yeah, no, I don't do that. And he did subbing one way, because there's one way you can do subbing. There's multiple ways you can do subbing. I chose to go with every education level except for college. I can teach babies, preschoolers, toddlers, K through 12. So I'm guaranteed to have a job any day of the week if I want one. And it's like, that's the whole thing about my method is get as educated as possible. But no one told me when I was younger, because if someone told me when I was younger, I would not have student loan debt, because I would have never gone the route of education that I did, and I would have cut out some of the education that I have, because none of it I use. Yeah, but if you like, watch and subscribe, and I'll tell you about how men get mad at me when I try and help them when it's like I like them, but I find out they're not doing the best financially and they're on hard times, and then I give them advice on how to do better, and then they get mad at me because they rather stay single, broke, renting a room from somebody in a bad neighborhood. But if you like, watch and subscribe. Bye.